Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and I saw some sad news the other day, and I don't know if it's sad or if I should be happy, but one of the content creators that I've followed for some time, Shmup Junkie, I found out that he recently had to sell about 95% of his collection because he was going to be moving to a new location and he was not able to keep his collection of shoot 'em ups. And shoot 'em ups, or shmups as they're called, hold a very special place in my collection. And I know that had to be really hard for him to sell all of those shoot 'em ups because he had a lot of really rare ones. In fact, I learned a lot from him about shooters that I didn't even know were in existence. And it turns out he had been selling his collection for the past few months. I recently saw that he sold a bunch of consoles at a game store, I think Pixel Vault out in California, which isn't too far from where I used to spend some of my time when I was in California. I actually have visited Pixel Vault before. And so, yeah, it's just another reminder that in 2025, a lot of people are making changes and making sacrifices to make important life decisions. And so with that, I figured I'd do my top 15 shoot 'em ups in my collection and just kind of share some of the shoot 'em ups that I enjoy the most. And we're going to start it off with this one here. This is Battle Unit Zeoth for the original Game Boy. This is a short but sweet and fun shoot 'em up. This is a side scroller on the Game Boy where you play as this mech. You get power-ups throughout each level that allows you to spread your shot wider and wider. I think there's like 4 or 5 levels. You battle through bosses. It's not super difficult, but it is a very fun shoot 'em up game for the Game Boy. There are others. In fact, there's one game that's not quite a shoot 'em up, but I've had my eye on it for some time. It's called The Adventures of Star Saver. I've been thinking about getting that one, but Battle Unit Zeoth is a very fun one, and so we're going to start off with that one. The next up, we have a classic here, Super R-Type 3. Don't need to talk too much about this. Everyone's familiar with the R-Type series, but I think that this is probably my second most favorite R-Type game of all time. There's a lot of R-Types all out there. They've created R-Types for a bunch of different consoles, but this is going to be my favorite R-Type. They pretty much made a duplicate of this game for the Game Boy Advance. But I think it's best played on the Super Nintendo. This is a side-scrolling shoot 'em up. With R-Type games, you have to play them at the pace of the game. Really, you can't speed this game up at all, and you just have to be timely, know when to use, know when to use your charged blast and things like that. Very cool game. R-Type 3 is definitely up there. Moving on over to the Sega Genesis. Sega is home to pretty much a lot of my favorite shoot 'em ups. We'll start it off with Thunder Force 3. This one is a classic. This is a game that I used to watch my brother play a lot as a kid. In fact, my brother is a big part of the reason why I'm even into shoot 'em ups, but the music in Thunder Force 3, the graphics in Thunder Force 3, the sound effects, just truly amazing. What they did with this on the Sega Genesis. Definitely one of in my top 15 for sure. Next one up, this is another one I watched my brother play religiously, Elemental Master. This is not so much a shoot 'em up as in like you're in a spaceship and you're flying. This is like a top-down shoot 'em up, but the main character, this guy right here, he's pretty much walking. You're walking, and like as you walk through the land using your elemental powers, you kind of use them in like this shoot 'em up setting. So this one plays like a shoot 'em up, but it's not really like a space shooter, so it's not a shmup. But Elemental Master is definitely up there. One of my favorites for sure. And this one is included on the Sega Genesis Mini 2. So if you have a Sega Genesis Mini 2, you can enjoy this game. A very, very fun one. It's hard though. Most of these are difficult. Most of these are difficult games to play. Felios is probably the most memorable shoot 'em ups of them all when it comes to the shoot 'em ups my brother used to play. I distinctly remember this cover art, this teal blue, the character on the cover, just that dragon. Like, this is nostalgia all over the place, and this is definitely one I recommend. I really like the music in this one, and again, this is not like a space shooter. You're pretty much, this follows like Greek mythology. So you're pretty much a knight who's flying on Pegasus, and you shoot blasts through your sword. You get different power-ups throughout the game. You can charge them up and do different things like that. But this is a very, very cool shoot 'em up. Not a lot of people talk about this one enough, but Phelios is definitely up there. Then you have Lightning Force or Lightning Force. This is pretty much Thunder Force Part 4 of the Sega Genesis. This takes everything that was amazing in Thunder Force 3 and just amps it up to a whole nother level, like a whole nother degree. If you're prone to seizures, I wouldn't play this game. This game is like all over the place, like seriously, but it's a ton of fun. And this is also another one that is on the Sega Genesis. This is either on the Sega Genesis Mini or Mini 2. So if you have either one of those, you can experience this. Definitely worth checking out. The music is really good on that one. All right, now we're going to shift to the PlayStation, which is also home to some of my favorite shoot 'em ups. First up, we have Raystorm. You have Raystorm and Ray Crisis. While Ray Crisis is good, I'm a bigger fan of Raystorm. Both Working Designs games. The biggest draw for me when it comes to Raystorm is the music. In fact, I actually, in my edited videos, a lot of the music that you hear in those videos comes from Raystorm. That's how much I like that opening intro. Like the song that I play on the outro for most of my edited videos comes from this game, Raystorm. I really love the music in this game. It's like this perfect combination of like techno, jazzy type of music, and the melodies are just really cool. So Raystorm is definitely up there for me. Probably top 5 for me, RType Delta. RType Delta takes on a much more dark feel. It has like a darker tone, a darker feel to it, just with the music and the gameplay. But RType Delta is an exceptional shoot 'em up game. This one is very fun as well. If you've never checked this one out, I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's more on the darker side, but it does have those muddy PlayStation 1 graphics, but this is a true gem. This is my favorite RType game. I said RType 3 is number 2. RType Delta is definitely number 1, for sure. Moving on over, we're going to move over to the Sega Saturn, since we're already with Gen 5 games. And for the Sega Saturn, first up, we have this classic Radiant Silvergun. So, I mean, what can I say about Radiant Silvergun? I mean, this is definitely, I think this is probably in most people's top 10 shoot 'em ups. Very, very fun, very engaging shoot 'em up game. The colors and the music are definitely top 10. Bullet hell style. I mean, this is a classic. It was never released in North America until they re-released it on the Nintendo Switch. I think Limited Run did a release of this game. So you can play this on the Switch or on the PS4. They did a re-release. I had this copy way before they did. I've had this copy for years. So Radiant Silvergun has always been a favorite of mine. I play it a bunch. Definitely one I would recommend for sure. And then sticking with the Sega Saturn is my favorite shoot 'em up of all time. This is my absolute favorite shoot 'em up ever, and that is Hyper Duel for the Sega Saturn. Just everything that you can do in this game is top 10. A lot of times games give you power-ups, which is cool. Hyper Duel, they take another level and they give you helpers. Like you can play as either a spaceship or a mech. You can transform at any time, and you can elect to either have another spaceship help you or 2 more mechs help you. And I think you can have up to two or 3 helpers at a time, which just amplifies your firepower. And they can take hits for you, and they don't just explode on the first hit. They can take multiple hits for you. So this is a very fun game. I can't remember if I beat it or not. I know I got really far in this one, but this too gets increasingly difficult. Like Hyper Duel starts off manageable, but then they kick up the intensity like real quick by like level 3. It's impossible. Next up, we have Gunbird II. So this is a classic shooter on the Dreamcast. Gunbird 1 actually was released on the Sega Saturn. I do have that game as well, but it's not as good as Gunbird 2. Not at all. This brings all of the color and animation of Capcom into a very beautiful looking shoot 'em up. The sprite work in this game is really great. The gameplay is fun. The characters are all amazing to choose from. And one of the mechanics that I like in this game is that you can charge your weapon for a second, and then when you release it, it does like a sustained, like enhanced attack for about 5 seconds or so, while you still use your main gun, and you get the ability to drop bombs, like screen clearing bombs. So this one's a lot of fun. It's difficult though, very difficult, but a very fun one to play. If you don't want to buy this on the Dreamcast, you can buy the Shooting Stars, the Psycho Shooting Stars, either Alpha or Bravo. It's on, that game is on one of them, and that's like 50 bucks or something. And you can get that on the Switch or on the PlayStation 4. Next up, I was just showing this one the other day, Mars Matrix on the Dreamcast. Top, top 5 for sure. This game takes a lot of elements from Ikaruga. A lot of the gameplay in this game reminds me of Ikaruga in a way. One of my favorite mechanics, again, is the ability to absorb all the enemy attacks, like absorb all the bullets and then unleash them back onto your enemies in one screen clearing blast. Very cool mechanic. Music is great. The pacing is great on this one. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. Mars Matrix is a top 5 for sure. Next up, speaking of Ikaruga is definitely in my top 15. I do have this for the Nintendo Switch. They did come out with like a special edition version, but there's nothing like the original that came out on the GameCube. Ikaruga is one of those games where you can absorb enemy attacks based on what side your ship is facing, either the white side or the, I think it's the red side. I think it's the red side. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played Ikaruga, but the gameplay is pretty fun. It's challenging in its own way, but it's a very good game. I definitely recommend it. And I'm not one to follow the story behind a lot of these shoot 'em ups. On some of them I do, but I don't do it quite often. But I know that that one has a really good story behind it. All right, for the last two, we've got Battle Karuga for the PlayStation 4. So Battle Karuga was, I think, originally released on the Sega Saturn, but that version is extremely expensive. So when I had an opportunity to pick up the PlayStation 4 version for about 50 bucks, I jumped on it. I really like this version. It's very cool. Battle Karuga, big highlight for me with this game is the music. Again, I use a lot of Battle Karuga music in my edited videos. I know a lot of you ask like where I get my music from. A lot of it comes from Battle Karuga. Really great music, very melodic sounds and very melodic tones. Again, it's this like combination of jazz, fusion, and rock. It's just really, really cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Recommend it. If you have a PlayStation 4 and you don't want to spend the money on a Sega Saturn version, check out Battle Karuga. It's a ton of fun. Last but not least, we have Freedom Finger for the Nintendo Switch. This is an extremely funny shoot 'em up. Very interesting story. You fly as this spaceship that's shaped like a hand, and it does all the signs a hand can do, including flipping the bird. So imagine flying with a flying middle finger through through space, blasting enemies out of the sky. Big attraction for me with this game was the whole like hand-drawn style pixel art graphics. When you play this game, it's just a bunch of fun. It's really funny. It's a very comedic game, a very interesting take on a shoot 'em up. It's not as serious and formal as some of the more traditional shoot 'em ups, but definitely one worth checking out for sure. I have some honorable mentions that I didn't share here, but I'll definitely let you know. You can check them out. One of them is Android Assault for the Sega CD. I've talked about Android Assault before. That's one that I definitely recommend. Also, Last Resort is also another one that I have that's a really up there amazing shoot 'em up. And last but not least, I don't have this game like by itself. I don't have the official game because it's like $10,000 or something crazy. But Blazing Star for the Neo Geo is definitely in my top 5. Blazing Star, even though they use the same music for every level, I really love that song. Like once I play Blazing Star for 5 minutes, I'm humming that song for the next week. It's just, Blazing Star is a very fun shoot 'em up. But those are my top 15 shoot 'em ups. I really enjoy my shoot 'em ups. I would hate to have to sell any of the ones that I have in my collection. I totally understand life events happen, and I totally get that Shmup Junkie had to sell. Shmup Junkie, hopefully you kept the ones that are the most near and dear to you, and continue to make videos because I've learned a lot from Shmup Junkie. But that does it for me. Let me know if you like shoot 'em ups, and if you do, what are some of your favorite shoot 'em ups, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.